Look at that beautiful scenery today. Look at the blue sky. It's sunny. It's kind of funny how after this damn groundhog comes out, doesn't see a shadow, and now all of a sudden all the gray skies have disappeared. And nothing but sunny days, early spring promises, love is in the air, Valentine's Day is coming. Let's get it, people. It's Wednesday. 38 degrees here in New York City. Wednesday morning, coming at you live from Queens, New York. Good morning. Good morning, y'all. What's up? What's the haps, paps? What's going on, my party people? Renee here, the morning after live stream. Good morning, everybody. When I do that kind of opening, that's really more for me just to wake up, because I'm still kind of bushy-eyed this morning. I was up a little late last night, just trying to finish my binge of the week. I had a couple of episodes to go, and I wanted to make sure I finished it out so that I can talk about it later on this morning as my binge of the week segment. And if you want to know what that is, I'll be talking about that new show on Amazon Prime, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, starring Donald Glover, Maya Elskin, I believe that's her name. I'll make sure to check on that later on, but I'll be reviewing that series, that show, season 1. I don't know if it's going to be more than one season, but I'll be talking about that later on in the morning. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But this morning, obviously, the hot topic, as you could see in the thumbnail and the title, Gina Carano, literally after 3 years of being fired from Disney, has now decided to come out and sue both Disney and Lucasfilm over her, what she's calling unlawful firing from The Mandalorian. And Elon Musk got her back. Says basically, I got you, girl, because this was all done because of a Twitter post or series of posts that she did. So Elon's like, you know what? It was on my platform. I want to be involved. I'll be backing you and funding you for this lawsuit. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. Plus other headlines. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We got a lot of looks at it yesterday with what I like to call either a part 2 or state of play addendum or state of play part 2, Electric Boogaloo. That happened yesterday, and all the fans are going nuts over it. PQ chiming in saying he played the demo. Good for him. As if he's the only one who has. Of course, I expected you to play the demo. And of course, you are already calling it Game of the Year. That's what we called fanboyism. No, I'm just kidding. I know you're a huge fan. And I know you're excited. It looks good. I'll be honest, it just looks like there's a lot going on in that game. But I'll talk a little bit about that because Final Fantasy VII, the newer iterations, has a special place in my heart and has a special meaning for the channel here. So I'll be talking about that as well, along with other headlines from the past day or two. It's been kind of eventful, so we have a lot of things to talk about. PQ chime in. Square Enix owns my soul. I can't escape. Might be Stockholm, or it could just be an unhealthy obsession. Um, Look, we all have our things. I don't blame you, and it's not just you. A lot of people are going nuts over this thing, and rightfully so. It's something that we've been waiting for 4 years. It's kind of nuts to think about Final Fantasy VII remake coming out 4 years ago, and it was obviously, if you know the timeline, it was an originally a PS4 release that got later, kind of pseudo upgraded for PS5, and now this is a proper PS5 release. It's just fascinating to me how all that has played out. It feels like it's been longer than 4 years, right? But yeah, 4 years. We're finally getting the continuation of that storyline that started off. And for those of you who don't know, PQ and I, we used to do a YouTube channel. Two can play that. It's still live. We still randomly do stuff there. We kind of live stream our D&D sessions to the audience of one, maybe two. Let's just say it's not a properly managed channel. It's not optimized. We could do a lot more with it. It's just we're kind of lazy. But one of the biggest things that PQ and I did, literally going back to 4 years ago, was that we had a heavy discussion about Final Fantasy VII remake. So that's one of the reasons why this game holds a lot of meaning to obviously Paul, but also to myself. But let's not get into that now. Let's talk about the hot topic of the morning. Let's talk about headlines. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Why did it change my window? Hello. Sorry. But yeah, let's talk headlines. Headlines. This is a portion of the morning where I talk about some of the biggest headlines in pop culture news, movie, TV, all that good stuff. And there's definitely a lot to talk about. The main topic for the morning is obviously the whole news about Gina Carano. Now, like I do every morning, I briefly, kind of skim through the headlines. Obviously, this was a big thing that popped up when it, kind of was released yesterday, when the news broke yesterday. So I made sure to save it because this was definitely going to be a topic worthy to talk about. Just so for some background, and I'm pretty positive that the article I'm going to read here from the Hollywood Reporter will cover some of this. For those who know or who don't know, Gina Carano obviously was a former MMA fighter who decided to turn to acting. Some of her earlier roles included Deadpool. She was in, I believe, 1 and 2. And she also starred in, I want to say she was in one of the Fast and Furious movies. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure she was. And I think she really made a name for herself when it was announced that she was going to star in the brand new Star Wars related series called The Mandalorian that was going to air on Disney Plus. Now, for those who have been kind of following Gina Carano for a bit, and whether it's her MMA career or her acting career, there were criticisms about her kind of dull acting, unemotional acting. You could really see that, I think, in Deadpool. Her performance and kind of delivery was very bland, very dull. Interesting choice to show nudity. We had boobage in a very funny scene where she was fighting Colossus and her top came off by accident and Colossus was all embarrassed. I thought that was pretty hilarious. Pretty risque for someone like her to do as one of her early things that she's done on film. But when it came to The Mandalorian, playing the character Cara Dune, I think her demeanor and persona fit really well in that character. And I'll be quite honest with you, I enjoyed that character. I really liked that Carol a lot. It fit really well in the whole Mandalorian universe. And the character was heavily involved in the major mega ending that we had in season 2 of The Mandalorian. She was part of the crew there, the female group with Katie Sackhoff, you know, um, and who's that? The other wrestler, the Monet. Well, she's going by something Monet now. Sasha Banks was the name that we knew her as when she was wrestling for the WWE. So she was really part of that major ending there. And it looks like it was in the cards for her to have a spin-off show from The Mandalorian. I think it was called something Rangers, Rebel Rangers, or whatever Rangers. And it sounds like because of what happened on The Mandalorian and what happened to her character, she was going to be a main lead of that spin-off show. Then what happened is that she was very open about her stance, on several topics, especially on the political spectrum. And she was very open and vocal about it on Twitter. And it was because of a tweet or a series of tweets that Disney and Lucasfilm decided to fire her. Because they were kind of controversial. And we've been seeing that a lot lately with, people in Hollywood, actors, writers, directors. Once they become a little bit vocal on Twitter or any kind of social media, studios pay very close attention and will act if they seem appropriate at the time. That actress who was in the Scream movies, I think, is the best example as of recently, who got fired from the Scream movies because of her stance with the whole war going on between Israel and Palestine right now. And it looks like her agency might be dropping her sometime soon. Let's just say that she is going to have a hard time finding any kind of work in the next year or two because of her political stance there. But we've been seeing it a lot lately, and it's all usually happens on X or Twitter, right? And so basically, when Gina Carano was dropped, it made major headlines at the time. She was somewhat outspoken about it, but then kind of just walked away, right? And we didn't hear much about it. That was in 2001. I'm sorry, 2021. That's what I meant to say. 3 years ago. 3 years later, now she decided to finally come out and now sue Disney because of all that. So that is the news that broke yesterday. Here is the article from The Hollywood Reporter. Gina Carano sues Disney over Mandalorian firing in lawsuit funded by Elon Musk. The actress claims the entertainment giant discriminated against her for voicing certain opinions on hot-button issues. Let's read the article here. In an escalation of a standoff over her firing from The Mandalorian, Gina Carano is suing Disney and Lucasfilm for discrimination and wrongful termination in a lawsuit that opens another front in the battlefield for influence over Hollywood that has drawn in corporate America. Carano, in a complaint filed Tuesday in California federal court, alleges she was fired for voicing right-wing opinions on social media and seeks a court order that would force Lucasfilm to recast her. Elon Musk, making good on a promise to foot the legal bill for users who claim they have been discriminated against due to their activity on his platform, is helping fund the suit through X. Here we have a statement. X's head of business operations, Joe Benaroche, said, "As a sign of X Corp's commitment to free speech, we're proud to provide financial support for Gina Carano's lawsuit, empowering her to seek vindication of her free speech rights on X and the ability to work without bullying, harassment, or discrimination. The article continues to basically recap what I just said to start off. That Lucasfilm in 2021 announced that Carano would not be returning to the hit series after sharing a post in which she said, well, they're actually going to quote her tweet here. So most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Unquote. It was, and then the article continues to say, it was the latest in a long string of posts in which the former MMA fighter drew the ire of social media users for positions seen as right-wing on hot-button issues. Carano, who was dropped by UTA following the controversy, previously mocked government mandates to wear masks during the COVID-19 pandemic and falsely suggested that voter fraud occurred during the 2020 presidential election. In a statement clarifying the post on X, Carano on Tuesday said, "My words were consistently twisted to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right-wing extremist." According to the complaint, Disney and Lucasfilm harassed and defamed Carano for refusing to conform with their viewpoints on issues relating to Black Lives Matter, preferred pronouns, and disproven claims of election interference. While she was allegedly fired for her cultural and religious beliefs, Carano argues that the entertainment giant turned a blind eye to her male co-stars who allegedly made offensive and denigrating posts directed towards Republicans. She points to Pedro Pascal's 2017 post comparing former President Donald Trump to Hitler. This is a long article, guys, so bear with me here. And like I said, I am just reading this fresh as of this morning, so do bear with me before I jump in and have some of my thoughts here. The suit says Disney required Carano, who was paid $25,000 per episode as a guest actor and later negotiated a one-time $5,000 bonus to meet with representative of the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Discrimination and demanded a public apology. Defendants went so far as to try to convince Carano's publicist to force Carano to issue a statement admitting to mocking or insulting an entire group of people, which Carano had never done, the complaint states. After she refused, Carano was told to meet with Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy and 45 employees who identify as LGBTQ+, according to the suit. She declined and was terminated shortly after from The Mandalorian, as well as other titles in the Star Wars universe, including Rangers of the New Republic. That's the name of the show I mentioned before that I may have botched, but that's the name of it. Carano also alleges Disney engaged in a post-termination smear campaign, citing the abrupt removal of an episode of Running Wild with Bear Grylls, in which she appeared from the show's scheduled lineup in an effort to malign her. Though the episode eventually aired, Disney allegedly omitted any mention of her name, likeness in promotional materials. The suit faults Disney's termination of Carano as impetus for UTA and her transactional lawyer dropping her as a client. Carano brings claims for wrongful discharge and sex discrimination. She seeks a court order that would force Lucasfilm to recast her and at least $75,000 plus punitive damages. Some of us have been unjustly singled out, harassed, persecuted, and had our livelihoods stripped away because we dared to encourage conversation, ask questions, and refused to go along with the mob, she said in a statement. All right, the article continues to go on and on and on. It talks about at-will employees. And then here's a part about X funding the suit. Carano added, "I am honored that my case has been chosen to be supported by the company that has been one of the last glimmers of hope for free speech in the world. Last year, Musk pledged to fund legal action for users who on X who claim they have faced discrimination by their employers over the activity on the platform. The offer came with no limit on costs, with Musk saying he would go after the boards of directors of the companies too. And then it just goes on and on about other stuff there. So, a lot of stuff. Big article here, big lawsuit involving some really big members of Hollywood. Well, a big person in business, and I guess a former kind of pseudo big person in Hollywood. Why now, right? Why 3 years later? I think there is probably a certain statute of limitations in order to bring these kinds of things to light. I think that's one of the reasons why she's doing that now. It's also, remember, guys, it's an election year. So if she is heavily on the Republican side of things, obviously this could be a good year to get this kind of attention, especially with the presidential race happening and everything like that. I think she also sees possibly that Disney, Lucasfilm, they're somewhat in a conundrum with what they're going to do with their properties. The Mandalorian, there's a lot of back and forth and reports about are we getting a season 4, or is season 4 turning into that movie that's being worked on right now by Dave Filoni? We have not heard a lot about any of the other Star Wars properties, the shows that were promised that we're supposed to get, like Skeleton Crew. What happened to that? That's been kind of really quiet lately. There were talks about that Rey movie that Daisy Ridley is still very happy talking about right now. So I feel like, she kind of sees that now is an opportune time to kind of strike. And Elon Musk, I think that is like the big surprise here, that Elon Musk is backing her and all. But, ever since, excuse me, ever since Elon took over X, he's been really throwing his weight around a lot and really, puffing up his shoulders, puffing out his chest, and is really out there. His ego is running rampant ever since he got X. Or I would like to say he was kind of forced to buy Twitter, because he made that offer that, if you recall, he was trying to back out of, but to kind of avoid lawsuit and legal fees and everything, he just decided to go through with it. I don't know if it was begrudgingly. I mean, he has the money and all. And then he's, everyone's saying that he's running the platform to the ground. He is putting a lot of basic stuff behind paywalls. Do you know that, and I'm sure you do if you use X quite often, you're no longer allowed to DM people unless they both follow you. You both follow each other, I believe. And what is it? I think you have to, if you do want to DM someone that you don't follow, you have to pay. You have to be part of the premium service there. It's crazy. It's crazy how, he's changed that platform around, better or worse. But he stands by his platform. And I do remember he made that statement that, anyone that gets affected by free speech on his platform, he is going to fully defend. And this is the first major example in case of him doing so and standing by his word. And of course, this is going to get a lot of publicity for himself and for X. Because, you're dealing with major companies in the industry with Lucasfilm and Disney. So of course he wants his name around it. He wants to be involved in that, where do I side with all of these things? Um, I've always stood on the stance, or I always felt that as a public figure, you are held under a very, very strong microscope. And especially once you are popular and once you notice that you have a fan base that follows everything you do, wants to mimic some of the things that you buy or that you wear or that the places that you visit. It's the whole influencer kind of mentality, right? It's that whole market that we're all in. I remember last year someone said that I'm an influencer. I'm like, I hardly believe that at all. I give my opinions on movies. I react to trailers. I talk about topics. I don't see myself as an influencer. And plus I hate that term, to be honest with you. I'm a pundit, maybe. I talk about certain aspects of entertainment and industry, but I always tell people to kind of come up with their own conclusions. Listen to what I have to say. Maybe you side with me or not, or maybe you agree or believe the same things I believe in. But if you don't, hear me out and then find out for yourself, right? But you have a lot of people, especially with these major celebrities, who hang on to a lot of things that you say. Plus, if you're connected to any kind of property, whether it's a show or a movie, you are now a representation of said property, right? You are now representing the show. You are now representing the studio behind it, especially if you're employed by Disney. I remember what was one of the things that, and I don't know what the rule is now or what is there now, but if you join Disney as an animator, anything that you created under your employment belonged to Disney. None of that stuff belonged to you. So you could have just gone in there and you could have been the one to create Olaf from Frozen. That this is my idea of what this character should look like. Oh my God, that's brilliant. That's cute. We're going with that. The minute you leave, that's it. You don't have claim to Olaf. That's Disney's property now. So this is a company that really holds tight their characters, their IPs, all of those things. You become a representation and a representative of said company, especially the Disney Corporation, right? So, of course, if you're going to be someone that's going to go on social media and start saying things, that will be paid attention to. And we also know that at the time, there are people within the Disney Corporation who are, against a lot of the right-wing stuff. And then once you get politics involved, that's when it gets very sticky. That's one of the reasons why I don't like talking about politics on here. Anything that I do, anything that I'm connected to or associated with, you will rarely ever hear me talk about politics. I'll joke about stuff from time to time, because I think in the grand scheme of things, I am a commentator. I've always been a commentator and observer of things that happen in life. So I will always comment on stuff, but I will never have full-on discussions about anything political related, because there's no win or lose. There's no right or wrong. Everyone has their stances, and everyone's going to always believe that their stance is the right one, and that's fine. I personally just don't have patience for that. I don't care about that. I really don't. No. Now, when it comes to movies, I'm like, all right, this is what I feel about this movie. And if you feel differently, I want to know why. Let's have a conversation about it. Maybe you can convince me why your feeling for that movie is something to be thought about. But at the end of the day, I like what I like, you like what you like. That's perfectly fine. Fine and dandy. But when you have such strong beliefs and strong things to say on social media, you have to, at the end of the day, you have to be the one to be held responsible for that. You go out there and you are going out there knowingly that you may get some sort of backlash on this stuff. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of people who will agree with you, but you're definitely going to get backlash. And with backlash comes consequences at times, especially knowing the type of company that Disney is and the type of stuff that a lot of people within the Disney organization, what they believe in. Maybe she didn't know. It's very possible she didn't know. But I'm pretty sure she was warned. Right? I'm pretty sure she was like, hey, that tweet you just put out there, I don't think that was a good idea. Maybe you should kind of back down a bit, or maybe you should delete it, or maybe, just don't do those kind of tweets anymore. She kept doing it because, she felt free speech is important, which it is. And I'm not knocking her for feeling that she has the right to go out there and say whatever she wants. But as a public figure, as someone who represents a company and represents a show, you have to be held responsible and face the consequences if there's any unfortunate backlash. And that's basically what happened here. I already said, I liked her character on the show. Right? But as we've learned in Hollywood, as we've learned so many times over and over again, anyone and everyone is replaceable or can easily just be dropped. In business, in corporate America, when you sign up for employment, what is the one thing that always stands out in that thing that you sign? Your employment there is an at-will employment. So you and said company agree that you will work for them. And if you decide you don't want to, you can go. If the company decides you don't belong there anymore, they can let you go. Right? That's their right. And that's basically what Disney, did here. And it's unfortunate, because she seems like a very nice person behind the scenes. I remember when they were promoting the first season of The Mandalorian, I was at Star Wars Celebration there in Chicago. PQ was there also, but he didn't get to go to the panel that I went to. And she came out and people were applauding and were happy. Carl Weathers was there too, R.I.P. to the great Carl Weathers. And they were saying how much fun they had on the show, how much fun they had filming season 1, how excited they are for everyone to check out the show, how excited and pleased they are with their own characters. And the character of Cara Dune actually became even better in the second season. She was okay in the season 1, and then she had her moments. And then, the moments that kind of stood out, they were like, oh, wow, she's a badass. That's kind of dope. And then she really made a name for herself in season 2. So I was really looking forward to seeing what was going to happen with this character moving forward. So it was very unfortunate for her to kind of lose her job and for them to fire her that way. But at the end of the day, it's, was it right? Was it wrong? I personally think that, again, if you are a public figure and you are held to certain standards from the company, you are a representative of that company, and you have to face consequences if you go against that in any way. I don't think Disney and Lucasfilm were at the wrong here. We've already seen it happen to so many other people before. But if they messed up somehow in the process, that's when they could be in big trouble. And maybe this is what that lawsuit is going to point out. Because there are ways to handle things. Again, I don't fault Disney and Lucasfilm for doing what they did. But if they messed up something along that process, if there's a slight chance that maybe they were wrong in how they addressed something, in how they communicated with her, or maybe lack of communication or lack of warning ahead of time, then there is a slight chance that she could be in the right. Now, if she, let's say, sake of argument here, let's say she decides, let's say that there's a ruling and it's on her side, it's in her favor. Do I think, or do we think she's going to now be recast as Cara Dune in the Mandalorian universe? Not a chance. I highly doubt it. They'll acknowledge the character exists, and they've kind of done that. You know, there is a reason why in season 3 of The Mandalorian, there was a slight mention about Cara Dune when Mando met up with Carl Weathers' character. And I believe, if I recall correctly, she went off and joined so-and-so, and they're off now patrolling some sector of the universe. So she's gone. Right? That's why he had no more Marshal. And that's why the Marshal ship was introduced to Mando. So on and so forth. Right? So I think, if anything, they may just have her around, but I don't think they'll ever put her back on TV or in any movie. You know, so it's an interesting lawsuit. I don't know if this could help set precedent for other lawsuits that are potentially maybe hanging on to maybe what the outcome is here. I mentioned before that actress, Melissa Barrera. She was fired from Scream after, like I said, she had some social media posts about her stance on the war happening out there, right? There were other people who got fired and let go. There are also some people who just didn't have anything happen to them. There was the issue with Letitia Wright. During the filming of Black Panther 2, she was very adamant and had a strong stance on being anti-vax, right? There was a time, I believe, she couldn't even come back to filming Black Panther 2 because she was detained because of her refusal to get a vaccine. And she was out there on social media saying all of her stuff, but nothing ever happened to her. She still showed up in Black Panther 2. She's still in Hollywood right now. So could there be a double standard? Could there be favoritism? Could there be, I don't know, something? Maybe Gina rubbed someone in Disney the wrong way, and that person took a personal vendetta and, kind of lashed out on her because of it. Who knows? Who's to say? We are not there behind the scenes. We are not there in the trenches to know and learn about any of this stuff. But needless to say, now that this is making headlines, this could easily set precedents over similar situations that's been happening online and to people in Hollywood right now. And I'm looking at that one actress who was just fired from the Scream franchise. Yeah, and because of that started a domino effect. We had Jenna Ortega, who decided to quit Scream because of that. I believe the director also left because of that. So it kind of left that franchise in flux right now, right? So we'll see what happens. It's a very interesting headline. It's a very interesting story. I'm very curious as to how this is going to be handled. how Elon Musk is going to use this to promote his platform. He has been very adamant about free speech. He has been very clear about a lot of that stuff. Unblocking accounts that was previously blocked, giving Kanye another chance. All of this crazy stuff. Free speech. Yeah, it's interesting how free speech is now being monetized. It's crazy how this world has become. The monetization of free speech in America. Go figure. I'll buy that for $1. So that's the whole news there with Gina Carano and the suing of Disney. So I'm curious whether you're watching live now or you're going to be watching on a replay. What do you think of this whole mess? Were you a fan of Gina Carano in The Mandalorian? Was Cara doing a character that you kind of dug? Do you think this is a rightful lawsuit? Do you think she was wrongfully terminated? I'm just very curious as to what people feel about this. Of course, the Star Wars fans and the Star Wars community, they're really talking a lot about this because it involves Star Wars, it involves a character from Star Wars. On the political side of things, I know there's a lot of talk about this now. And of course, especially since we have Elon Musk backing her on everything. So very curious. But, if you are going to comment, let's keep it civil. Let's keep it respectable. Let's not go too crazy on the politics side of things. Maybe I'm asking for something that's impossible, but I'm not going to be out there kind of monitoring everybody and like, I'm going to block you and But if you go nuts, if you're going to go nuts, we'll get nuts. I'll go nuts on you. So, how do you monetize free speech? Oh, easy. Go on X, sign up for that premium service, and your post could easily get ad dollars. There you go. That was Elon Musk's plan for some time, and it's happening now. So that's how you monetize free speech. Star-Lord, by the way, what's going on? Nice to see you here. Happy Wednesday. All right. So that was the big topic of this morning. A lot of other stuff to talk about this morning. Some interesting things kind of dropped in the last couple of days. On more drama side of stuff, as if you couldn't get enough of drama. Jonathan Majors, his sentencing has been delayed to April 8th. Here on the channel, I have been following this whole Jonathan Majors situation because, of course, its connection to the MCU. If you know, you know, he was attached to play Kang, the major villain in this current phase of the MCU. He's already appeared on multiple projects, whether it's Loki Season 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. And he was supposed to be a major part and major baddie in the MCU. Plus, he's also tied to the Creed franchise. He also had this movie in canned and ready to release called Magazine Dreams, which was said to be a very fascinating movie. Great performance from him, which may never see the light of day anytime soon. He's done a lot of stuff, and because of a battery ruling that found him guilty, now he's kind of been dropped from a lot of things there. And this is the month where we were supposed to hear the sentencing results, but for some reason now it's been delayed to April 8th. So let's just read the article here. I'm still on the Hollywood Reporter. His defense team filed a motion to set aside the verdict after the actor was found guilty of reckless assault in the 3rd degree and harassment in the 2nd degree. Jonathan Majors' sentencing date has been delayed to April 8th. The Creed 3 actor was convicted in December of reckless assault in the third degree, a misdemeanor, and harassment in the second degree, which is a violation. The charges carry a potential sentence of up to 1 year in prison. The sentencing was initially set to take place Tuesday. So it was actually supposed to be this week. Yesterday. I didn't know it was that soon. Okay. Majors appears virtually for the hearing, in which prosecutors said they needed time to respond to the motion, which was filed on Monday. And then this goes on to talk about the case and the assault charge. Here it says initially legal experts said Majors was unlikely to face prison time given his lack of prior criminal history. However, Majors gave an interview on Good Morning America in January in which he denied wrongdoing that legal experts say could impact his sentence. And then, of course, we know the results here. Shortly after the arrest, Marvel Studios dropped Majors. He has since been dropped from the Dennis Rodman movie, 48 Hours in Vegas, which I was really looking forward to because I thought that movie would have been phenomenal. If you don't know that story of Dennis Rodman and when he was with the Chicago Bulls, that is a fascinating story. Fascinating story. And you hear them talk about it in the Michael Jordan docuseries, The Last Dance. Basically, they're in the finals, and Dennis Rodman decides to take a trip to Vegas, hang out with Carmen Electra, and then have a 48-hour like binge, drinking, gambling, partying, all that stuff. So Jonathan Majors to play Dennis Rodman in a movie like that would have been fascinating. And then it says here also the previously shot film Magazine Dreams is currently on the market. I know they're shopping it around, but I don't know if anyone's going to be touching that anytime soon. So I said it before, and Starlord, I see your comments. I'll get to that in a minute. I just want to make sure that I'm not ignoring you. I also don't think he's going to get any kind of jail time, despite that crazy interview he gave on Good Morning America, which I reacted to also. So if you want to check that out, check out the previous episode where I did that. I mean, he's definitely going to get probably like some sort of service that he has to do, fine that he has to pay. He'll be on probation for sure, but he's not going to do any jail time. He's not. Starlord here. So why is it an assault if it's self-defense? I saw the tape he was running from her. Yeah, I mean, if you looked at the security footage, it does look like he was running away from her and she was the one who was quote unquote assaulting him, right? But I think what they did is that they tied a lot of the evidence that they gathered, the way he was kind of treating her outside of that one incident. The text messages was kind of incriminating as to like he was more of the controlling person. He was like an abuser. And I do have to say my stance on his point kind of changed when I did see that interview with Good Morning America, because there was a segment where they played voice messages that he left on her voicemail. And he sounded like a major narcissist. He said things like, I expect my partner to be there for me and support me because I'm doing great things out there. Martin Luther King had, Loretta. Obama had Michelle. I'm looking for someone like that. My partner, the woman I'm with, needs to be that person to me. And it just sounded very narcissistic, dude. And I was like, oh man, this dude. Now, you could kind of tell, I mean, if you're observant and you follow people for a while and you observe people for a while, the way he acts, the way that the characters that he portrays, the way he handles himself in interviews and in the public, how he always, even during that interview on Good Morning America, he kind of like tries to put out there that he's very intelligent, almost like a thespian, right? But you could kind of tell he has some anger management issues, and he admitted to it too on the interview. And I have a feeling that, and also there was an interview with one of his co-stars from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It's that actress who eventually also starred in season 3 of The Mandalorian as that Imperial officer bad person, the one with the short hair, who was kind of, doing things in the background, working for Giancarlo Esposito's character. She starred on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And she was doing an interview. And the interviewer was like, oh, so, you've worked with Jonathan Majors, right? What is he like? And something stood out to me, what she said. She's like, well, he's very method. He's very serious. When I got on set and he's there, I would say, hi, good morning. And he would basically just say, I don't want anyone talking to me right now. Now's not the time. And people kind of knew to walk around eggshells whenever he's getting himself in the mood, right? To do stuff. And we've heard actors do that before. The whole Christian Bale blow up that he had on set. And no one's perfect, right? Everyone has their weird quirks. Jared Leto is nuts, sending freaking dead rats to people and used condoms. So there's something definitely there with him, right? And just hearing those voice messages really threw me off. I was just like, geez, what is this guy saying? What's going on here? So yeah. So we won't know what happens or what will happen to Jonathan Majors until April. I don't think it's going to be much, to be honest with you. Star-Lord, she ran after him. That doesn't look like fear to me. What's love got to do with it? What's love got to do with it?
I'm gonna come.
Yeah. Love is a crazy thing. And sometimes it makes you do crazier stuff. So that's that whole Jonathan Major story there. Sad news happened yesterday. It was really, really sad to say. It's sad to read, actually. There was a crew member working on the set of Marvel's Wonder Man, that series that's supposed to be coming out on Disney Plus, who died after falling from the rafters during filming. Very, very sad news. Anytime you hear something like that, that's very unfortunate. Very, very sad to hear about that. So condolences to their family and friends. Let's see. Oh, there's a new Jurassic World movie happening, or at least a Jurassic movie happening within that universe. David Leitch, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. David Leitch, who is currently directing or set to direct I don't know what his ties is. You know what? Let's read the article. I'm not going to bullshit like I know it all. I'm going to get informed and I'm going to read the article. How about that? What's love got to do with it? What's love but a second-hand emotion?
I'm gonna come.
Thank you. All right. Calm down, y'all. Stop it. You guys, you are all nuts. All right. So article here, David Leitch in talks to direct new Jurassic World movie. Universal's moving as fast as a velociraptor on this, announcing a summer 2025 release date. What the hell? That fast? That is a very short turnaround. This movie is going to suck. I'm sorry. All right, think about it. We are in February of 2024. You're just announcing that you're tapping someone to make a new movie that you want to come out in the following year. Now, movies can be shot and filmed in 4 months, but something as very big as a Jurassic World movie with all the special effects, all of that, you expect to have it ready in time for, and I'm assuming, a summer release in 2025? You are nuts, Universal. But let's read this article. And I'll make sure it is big on screen so people can see it. I don't want people to go blind when they see this thing. Here we go. Yay. Filmmaker David Leitch is in talks to direct the next installment in the Jurassic World franchise, The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed. Universal Pictures announced Monday that it plans to release the dinosaur-focused film on July 2nd, 2025. THR broke the news last month that David Koepp, who penned Steven Spielberg's original 1993 blockbuster Jurassic Park and its 1997 sequel, Jurassic Park: The Lost World, is writing the follow-up to 2022's Jurassic World Dominion. Spielberg is set to executive produce the new movie through his company, Amblin Entertainment. Fellow Jurassic Park vets Frank Marshall and Patrick Crowley will also serve as producers alongside Leitch and Kelly McCormick of 87 North. Blah, blah, blah. Sources previously told THR that the forthcoming film is set to launch a new Jurassic era, seemingly suggesting that the characters played by Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard that originated in the Colin Trevorrow's 2015 Jurassic World would not be involved. That film was followed by J.A. Bayona's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom in 2015. The characters played by Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum in the original Jurassic Park saga are also unlikely to return in the fourth Jurassic World movie unless they feel it necessary to get butts in seats and to create a fervor around audiences and fans. That was my own input in there. The three performers co-starred with Pratt and Howard in Dominion. Leitch, who established himself as one of the town's big action filmmakers with movies such as Bullet Train, Deadpool 2, and Atomic Blonde, has become a go-to for Universal. He directed Fast and the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw for the studio, and the negotiations occur as Universal prepares to unveil The Fall Guy, which stars recent Oscar nominees Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, which will be coming out in theaters May 3rd. There you go. Oh, what happened there? Your message was retracted, Star-Lord. But it's okay. I see it here. You didn't even say anything bad. Jurassic Cinematic Universe. Why me, God? Why? Well, it is what it is, right? It's a franchise that makes money. But yeah. So here's what this means to me. And we've seen this in Hollywood a lot too. Universal is apparently very bullish about The Fall Guy. They feel like this could be like the next big movie, right? They think it's going to do really well. One of the reasons why they kind of pushed it back, they wanted people to promote it. They wanted Ryan Gosling to be out there and promote it. They wanted Emily Blunt out there to promote it. They feel very strong about that movie. And I think because of that, they are rewarding Leitch now to direct the new Jurassic World era or to start the new era. So think about it. We had Jurassic Park. We had Jurassic World. So does that mean it's going to be Jurassic Universe?
Wow. 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 Wow.
Welcome to Jurassic World Universe.
Fuck off!
Sorry. But let's look at the filmography of this guy. So Bullet Train was okay. It was cute, very visual effects heavy, nice fight scenes. It was cool. Deadpool 2 was fun. A lot of fun. Not as great as the first one, but still fun. And, Atomic Blonde, I thought had interesting moments, but for the most part, it felt like I was watching an elongated music video. Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw wasn't bad. I have to say, out of a lot of the stuff that I've seen for the Fast and Furious franchise, Hobbs and Shaw was actually pretty decent. So, and I am looking forward to The Fall Guy. I think that movie looks very funny, looks interesting. I love Gosling. I'm a huge fan of Emily Blunt. So I'm very excited to see what that chemistry is going to look like. So who knows? Maybe they're onto something. Maybe the next Jurassic World era could be good. And as Star-Lord said in the comment, what? Park? But a dinosaur promotion. I love it. I love it. I love it. Good job. All right. Calm down, people. So that could be a lot of interesting stuff there to find out. Once we have an idea of what the storyline's going to be, we left off the world basically with dinosaurs roaming free, right? Like they're hanging out with dogs now. They're hanging out with the giraffes, right? If I remember correctly. I mean, the last movie wasn't great, but I did enjoy and I appreciate the fact that you got the old guard with the new guard. I love seeing Sam Neill back. I love seeing Laura Dern back. You know, I love seeing those characters back, teaming up with the new batch, which was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. And I'm telling you right now, if money is on the line and they want fans in seats, they said maybe they won't be coming back. Watch. They're going to introduce a new batch of people, and then somehow later on down the line, they're going to find a way to get all of them together. And now we're going to get Jurassic World Endgame, or Jurassic World Infinity War, Civil War, whatever you want to call it. It's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be a fun time in the city, as they say. All right. So yeah. So I mean, look, I'm a major fan of Jurassic Park. I actually read the book first before the movie came out. I didn't even know the movie was coming out. It's just I wanted to read something, and Michael Crichton was an author that I always appreciated and I always liked. I loved his stories. So when Jurassic Park came out, I was like, I have to read this. And I read it and I fell in love with it. I'm like, this is a fascinating story. It was a lot of fun. Then he wrote The Lost World, and I love that too. 2 great stories, 2 great books. And then when the movie came out, I fell in love with that movie. That movie turned into one of my go-to movies, especially when the VHS came out. I owned it. I would watch it at least once a week at times. That was always a go-to for me. You know, then when I was able to get a laser disc, that was also a laser disc that I bought, and it had all these special features and everything. It's just, I was so in love with the Jurassic World movie. Lost World came out, it was okay. And then the third one came out, it was okay. It's very hard for them to really capture that moment. Kind of almost lightning in a bottle that the first Jurassic Park movie had. Now, when Jurassic World came out, I thought they were very close to capturing it. It was nice to kind of, be in the park again, have an actual park. I always thought it was going to be fascinating to see what would happen if they had a full-fledged park with tons of people there in attendance, and if everything goes to shit. I always said that would have been fascinating, and we got it, and I enjoyed it. Did they go too far with it? With that auction thing in the movie after that, I thought was ridiculous. And then the third one was just an excuse to get the 2 guards together, old crew, new crew, and to kind of close out that trilogy, right? So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to be a fan of Jurassic Park. I'm always going to be a fan of that universe, and I'll be curious to see what they're going to do moving forward. All right. Before I get into my binge of the week, I wanted to lastly talk about, well, first of all, there's a couple of things here. So Phil Spencer, again, if you follow the channel, if you saw my episode from Monday, the whole rumor mill right now is going nuts in the video game market, in the video game industry, with what's going on with Xbox. Are they bowing out of the home console market, the home console business? Are they licensing out their AAA games, their exclusive games to PS5, to Nintendo Switch? All that back and forth Again, I covered it enough on the channel. You could find the video I clipped out also on the channel there to check out. Shortly after all of that, Phil Spencer went to social media and made an announcement. And basically he said that there will be a special Xbox update event next week. And in a quote, he says, "We look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox." I'll be talking more about this on Friday's stream, because Fridays is usually the day I talk about video games. It's going to be interesting to speculate what he is planning to say. Is he going to address the elephant about the AAA titles going multi-platform? Are they going to announce maybe a price cut for their current gen system? Probably. We saw Xbox Series X, which is the big box, the monolith, go down as low as $350 during the holidays. I won't be surprised if they make some sort of announcements of a price cut. Or could we now get fully introduced to their Xbox Slim that they've been working on, that was kind of leaked when there was that breach and there was a lot of stuff leaked out from behind the scenes of Microsoft? That was something that they were working on. So could we get an announcement of that? There's rumors about them doing a portable system. I don't know. There's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of speculation going on. We'll speculate more about that on Friday, but that's something that was announced that I wanted to bring up. And I think lastly for now, oh wait, there's this is an interesting piece of news too. Rob Liefeld, you know him as the creator of Deadpool. You also know him as the guy who loves drawing tons of pockets on his characters. Announced that he's retiring from Marvel. I didn't even know he was still associated with Marvel, if I'm to be completely honest with you. Quick review here on this article. So Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld says goodbye to Marvel. "I'm a little sad, but retiring on my own terms." The artist tells THR why he's walking away sooner than he once expected and shares his excitement for all the crazy shit that's set to hit the big screen with this summer's Deadpool 3. After decades of giving maximum effort as the creator of Marvel Comics standout Deadpool, Rob Liefeld will soon be stepping away from the anti-hero that has been memorably brought to life on the big screen by Ryan Reynolds. Liefeld has decided that he will retire from Deadpool once he has completed work on a book for Marvel that he hopes will hit shelves in the summer, just in time to build off excitement surrounding Disney releasing Deadpool 3 in theaters July 26. The 56-year-old artist and Image Comics co-founder, who announced his decision Monday via Instagram, says he always assumed he would continue with his signature creation until much later in life, due to his continued passion for the merc with a mouth. And then he just goes on about all this stuff. Yeah, I'll be honest, I had no idea he still had ties with Marvel, to be honest with you. I thought ever since he created Image that he was kind of away from all that. So I guess he was still tied to the Deadpool character that obviously held very close and dear to his heart. So Rob Liefeld, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Since when was he even relevant? I'm sorry. I said it. He hasn't been relevant for a minute. Now, he has been a big champion for Deadpool. So we always see him on social media whenever there's news about the Deadpool movies and all that, or anything Deadpool related. He is such a papa when it comes to Deadpool. But he hasn't really been relevant, in my opinion. Yeah, I've seen him from time to time at the comic conventions, and he has his lines of fans. I'm sorry. It's like what Janet Jackson said. What have you done for me lately? Nothing.
Wow.
So that was something that kind of caught my eye. I was just like, really? I didn't know you were still connected to Marvel there, buddy. That's news to me. Sorry, I am just going through some of the headlines here, playing catch up a little bit. Starlord saying, how come the HD on the stream drops? I have no idea. I didn't even know they was doing that. Checking up on my side of things. I mean, it looks like everything is acting as it should. I have no dropped frames. I'm streaming at the highest of that I've set it up as, so I don't know. I'm sorry that it's doing that. YouTube. It has to be something YouTube related. I don't know. I've noticed that if you watch a live stream and some stuff goes wrong or something kind of breaks, more than likely YouTube is uploading some updates on the back end. That's affecting everybody. So I don't know. I really don't know. PQ chiming in saying, yeah, it's fine on my end. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry you're experiencing that, Star-Lord. Let me know if, for whatever reason, the stream actually drops. That's definitely going to be a concern if that ever happens. There's one bit of news that I wouldn't say it's timely, but it's something that I kind of alluded to in a previous episode when it comes to streaming and kind of like the streaming war. So I might just save that for Friday, to be completely honest. So the last bit of news that I'm going to cover here is obviously this weekend is the big Superbowl, right? The big game. And what is everybody always excited for during this time? The halftime show performance, the commercials, and what movie trailers are going to be debuting during that time, right? So there's a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors and news as to what movie trailers we're going to be introduced to during the Superbowl. And what they've been doing recently is they've been releasing the teases on TV during the commercials. And then it always directs you to, if you want to see the full trailer right now, go online at blah, 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 blah.com. They always do that, right? Check out the full trailer now on YouTube. Or check out the trailer now on universal.com. Check out the full trailer now playing on lowkeygeek.com. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if I was the home of one of these like breakout trailers? That would be amazing. Star-Lord saying it fixes when an ad popped up but drops again in second. Wow. That sounds terrible. I have no idea why it's doing that. I'm sorry. But that's good to know. So if something like that gets put up there, then obviously I want to know that stuff. So here we have some speculation as to what we could be seeing during the Sunday game there. And I'm just going through some of my notifications here because some of these like speculations could have changed because of something this morning. And this morning, if memory serves me correctly, which sometimes it has a tendency to do and sometimes it has a tendency to backfire, such as life. Yeah. So this morning, and I will make sure to spend a proper time to react to it, we did get a trailer for the new movie A Quiet Place Day One, which is supposed to be like the prequel to A Quiet Place that I'm kind of looking forward to because I actually really like that universe that John Krasinski built. I loved the first two movies, so I'm very curious as to what this prequel is going to look like. So that just dropped this morning. So that was one of the speculated trailers that we were going to get for the big game, that we were going to get the first look at Quiet Place Day One. Let's see, what does it say here? PQ saying it might be an issue with their ad stuff. Star-Lord, it's auto-recommended on my tablet at 144p. Doesn't play nice on live streams. Uses more data if manually set it. Oh, interesting. It's interesting hearing you guys talk about this stuff because obviously as a broadcaster, I don't know what's happening. So do keep me posted and let me know if there's any other major issues or just dropouts. If there's like, if I drop out, then that's a big concern and I would love to know about that. All right. So there is some speculation as to we might get to see finally a trailer for the movie Wicked The Wicked movie is supposed to be adapting the musical, so this was going to be a motion picture adaptation of that. I believe it's going to be 2 parts, so we may get the first look at that. Maybe Sonic 3 with Knuckles, Inside Out 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Those are just some of the rumors there. But it's also been reported that Warner Brothers, Sony, Netflix, and Amazon have trailers ready and geared up for Sunday. So I'm here on Variety. Here, I'll pull up the screen so that we can read this together. The Superbowl movie trailers, Deadpool 3, Wicked, Quiet Place, prequel spots poised to dominate the big game. Before I continue, PQ, I wish it adapted the books more than the musical. While I love the musical, the world is much bigger. They may expand on it. I mean, if they are planning, and this was just a rumor I originally heard about it, that they were splitting it into 2 parts, then they could very well be expanding it, maybe including more stuff from the books. So that could be very much a possibility, because if I remember correctly, the way the musical was is that the intermission, the cutoff was when the evil witch, Glenda, is it Glenda the good witch? Whatever, the green one. She started realizing some stuff and wanted to come out on her own, and kind of, she had that big musical number where she's flying up into the sky, and it was like this big number, and it was like during the moment of the play or the musical where she was like being more in tune with herself and what her worth is like, right? Elphaba? Is that how you pronounce it? Anyway, it would be weird if they would cut up part 1 with that kind of ending, right? So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Oh, that is how you pronounce it. Elphaba. Elphaba. Look at that. I pronounced the name right the first time. Take that, Leonard Bernstein.
Fuck off! You blew it!
All right. When it comes to this year's Superbowl, one studio will dominate the field by running nearly a dozen spots for its upcoming and existing releases. Paramount is expected to unveil ads for the post-apocalyptic horror prequel A Quiet Place Day 1. Well, they already did that this morning. The reggae biopic Bob Marley, One Love, and If, the live-action fantasy comedy directed by John Krasinski and starring Ryan Reynolds, where they just, I believe on Monday, they just released another trailer to If. So I don't know if I would still believe, unless it's going to be a bigger trailer or a funner interactive trailer. I don't know. The studio's outsized presence makes sense because the big game will air on CBS, a sister company of Paramount. There will also be promotional space for Paramount Plus. The studio's streaming service will unspool 8 ads for such titles as Sonic the Hedgehog spin-off Knuckles, a series that the studio produced for Paramount Plus. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know they were making a Knuckles Paramount Plus series. Animated adventure The Tiger's Apprentice, the Sylvester Stallone-led reality show The Family Stallone, and the next season of The Chi, in spots that will air before kickoff. During the games, the company will tout titles already on the streamer, like the sci-fi series Halo, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, as well as UEFA Champions League. And then, of course, there'll be stuff with Survivor and Star Trek. Let's see. Disney, likely to promote several of its summer tentpoles during the football's hottest night, although the studio isn't sharing which will get airtime. It's possible that viewers will enjoy a first look at Deadpool 3, which teams Ryan Reynolds with Hugh Jackman in the buzzy comic book adventure, as well as Pixar's anticipated sequel, Inside Out 2. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which opens in May, has already been heavily advertised, may also snag a spot. Let's see, Universal is going to probably tease us with Wicked. starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. The Fall Guy, Kung Fu Panda 4, Twisters. That's right. I forgot there's that sequel coming out this year. And then you have Warner Brothers, Sony, Netflix, Amazon. There will be some no-shows from the major studios. Warner Brothers, Sony, Netflix, and Amazon are not expected to run any trailers, despite all having a slew of upcoming tentpoles on the calendar. However, plans could always change. Sony, who's absent, isn't a shock because it typically sits out the Super Bowl. Oh, is that true? That's interesting. Now that I think of it, that is very much true. That's odd because you would think they'd want to promote Ghostbusters a lot since it's coming out in March. Huh. Amazon won't be promoting any titles such as the upcoming Anne Hathaway rom-com, The Idea of You. Last year, Amazon plunked down more than $7 million for a 60-second spot for the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon teaming Air. Yeah, and then look what happened in that movie. Everyone kind of forgot about it. The Air got knocked out of it.
I'm gonna come.
Star-Lord, checklist for a Sonic spinoff. Yeah, I had no idea that Knuckles they were doing a spinoff about Knuckles there. So, yeah, here's what I think is going to happen. Like I said before, any trailers that are teased, we're going to get like a snippet, right? And then it's going to want to drive everyone to their respective websites, to their respective YouTube channels. We've already seen that done multiple times before. Or there'll be a second part to that trailer, right? Like I said, they're going to say, check out the full trailer now on youtube.com. But I do think this is a prime time spot to debut some sort of trailer for Deadpool, to get some sort of glimpse. It's already rumored out there that they have a trailer already set up and ready to go, or they're working on finishing it up. So it'll be awesome to see a Deadpool trailer during the Sunday's game there. I do feel like we're going to get a look at Inside Out 2. I do think we're going to get possibly Twisters. I would love to see Twisters, man. Twister was another one of those movies that I really enjoyed watching when I was young. It was this same rotation with Jurassic Park. There's just something about that movie that was so much fun. Helen Hunt was so good in it. Paxton is amazing in that movie. Dusty, played by oh my gosh, Philip Seymour Hoffman, before he was known for his more serious stuff. I mean, that movie was just balls to the wall fun. And the fact that they're doing a sequel to that movie fascinates the hell out of me. So, I haven't heard a thing about I Am Groot Season 2. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Star-Lord. Didn't they release new shorts for that several months ago? I could be wrong, but I believe there was a new slew of episodes that was released not that long ago. Let me see if I can check on that right now. And, oh, look, my keyboard died. Congratulations. Let's see here. There we go. Hello, Disney Plus. Can you log me in, please? I have a funny story about my Disney Plus subscription. So I was signed up for Disney Plus, right? And then I geez, this thing is giving me agita. And then, my cell phone company was Verizon. And Verizon had this special that if you signed up with them, as part of your subscription, you were going to get Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN for free for as long as you were a Verizon customer. And I was like, fuck yeah, hell yeah. To not have to pay for a streaming service every month to get that out of my monthly bill. Plus, I get ESPN Plus. And I forgot what was the other thing. And Hulu? Sign me up. And then, after some time, and now that I'm freelance and I'm doing things on my own, I'm trying to, cut costs. So what did I do is I reevaluated, and I figured that, paying $80 for a cell phone bill every month just doesn't make any more sense.
Wow.
So I switched to Mint Mobile because Ryan Reynolds, his charm got me. I was like, you know what? I like that guy. And it's true. I would love to pay $15 a month for my cell phone service. And I did. And, I'm happy I made the switch. I'm saving so much more money. But of course, eventually I lost that package. However, because of some unusual glitch that happened, because I was once paying for Disney Plus, and then they kind of moved my account into the Verizon package, and then they recognized that I'm no longer with Verizon. So that's why I don't have Hulu anymore, and I don't have ESPN Plus, but I still have Disney Plus because for whatever reason, my account has been extended and my membership has been extended to 2025. But Disney Plus,
You blew it!
yeah. All right. They did it, but thought it was a promo. Well, let's see. I'm going to look at it right now. I am Groot. I'm Groot. Season 2. Yep. There was an official season 2. Which I haven't even seen yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes, averaging around 5 minutes each. So there you go. There is a season 2. Maybe they could be working on a season 3. But we did get a season 2. I thought I saw that. Yeah. So yeah, if you go check out Disney Plus right now, they're all there. 5 episodes. Are You My Groot? Groot Noses Around, Groot Snow Day, Groot's Sweet Treat, and Groot and the Great Prophecy. Ooh, the Great Prophecy. So yeah, there you go, Star-Lord. So I would check that out if you're interested. All right. Now's the time of this Wednesday's show. If you're familiar now, I am going to be talking about my binge of the week. And of course, that is when my Streamlabs it decides to crash and no music. What the hell? Hold on. It's coming. That's what she said. It's coming. I can hear it coming in the air tonight. Hello. Here we go. Let's go. Binge of the week. This is a part of the show where I talk about the series that I recently binged. I'll give my take and review of said series. Usually, what I like to focus on is something that came out that I missed or I didn't have a chance to watch. That's been happening a lot to me lately just because of timing. Because of, obviously I watch a lot of movies because, I review movies on the channel and all that. Star-Lord, I need to look for a reaction somewhere. I used to do a lot of reactions on these things online, but editing those things are so hard. Because obviously you want to avoid the copyright, and I get it. I totally agree, and I get with that. Like, you don't want to just have repurpose that stuff out there, right, for free. But I'm hoping to do more of that stuff again. I'm trying to find that balance on how I can do that and still, keep up with everything. So I'm not subscribing to Disney Plus for Groot. No, I would not recommend that you do that at all, for sure. Do not do that. Okay, so the show that I binged this past week was the brand new Amazon Prime Video, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, starring Donald Glover and Maya Erskine. Just some brief history about this property. Obviously, people know the movie that came out with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie.
Wow.
That movie, in my mind, will always be famous and popular because it was the movie that introduced them together, that forced them to have that love affair, that eventually led to Brad Pitt separating from Jennifer Aniston and then marrying Angelina Jolie. And then they adopted pretty much an entire Benetton ad. So that movie will always stick into my mind as that is the culmination of all of that. Plus, I remember watching the movie, and 10 minutes in, I fell asleep. And I woke up at the climax at the end with them like in this big shootout. And I was like, and with my ex at the time, I was like, did I miss anything? And she's like, not really. I'm like, okay, I don't care anymore then. So I have no ties to the original movie at all. I never read the book. So there you have it. But I found this fascinating that they were turning this into a show, into a series with Donald Glover involved in it. So you had Donald Glover who helped write along with Francesca Sloan. And he was also, I believe, an executive producer on it. And the one thing that stood out after I watched the first episode, because I always love to see who directs the episodes. And what really stood out to me was the first two episodes were directed by Hiro Murai. Hiro Murai is very well known for directing episodes of Barry. He also has worked with Donald Glover with the Childish Gambino music videos, that Guava thing that he also did on Amazon Prime. Hiro Murai has this kind of sensibility and this way of directing that I really like. And that was the first thing that caught my eye when I watched the first two episodes of this series, is that it very much has that aesthetic of a Childish Gambino music video. And it also reminds me of similar aesthetics that you see on Barry. And I loved Barry. Barry is one of those shows that I will always recommend to people on Max. Hader is so good in that series. The guy who plays Noah Hank is brilliant. Love that show. And I remember Hiro Murai directed a lot of the episodes that I actually really enjoyed. But if you don't know the story of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, basically it tells the story of these two former, whether it's CIA or military people, teaming up together to work for an unknown agency where they are forced to pretend that they are a married couple in order to carry out missions. A lot of espionage, a lot of spy related stuff, some high risk, some, middling or what have you. And it basically explores the the dynamic between the two and the relationship that eventually forms. So Donald Glover, it plays John. Maya Erskine plays Jane. So they go by John and Jane Smith. They have a nice fancy apartment in New York, and that's where they call their home base. The one thing I really love about this series was that it really focused more on the relationship. If you are expecting every episode to be always about the action, always about the espionage, you'll get some of that, but you get a lot of the relationship side of things. It's a very interesting thing that happens where at the beginning of the show, you have two people who are relatively strangers, right? Forced to live together, work together, and pretend they're a married couple. Then eventually that relationship forms for real. And just like any kind of working relationship, what's always fascinating is that the more you work with someone, especially in such close quarters and all that, the more things can go wrong. You can get annoyed at some things, but it's very much like a marriage. So basically, you're seeing the ups and downs, the positives and negatives of a marriage. It just so happens that it's a married couple who also goes around and kills people. And it was so fascinating that I went into this show with one mindset, thinking that, oh, okay, we're gonna get a very similar stuff to what we had in the movie, and it's gonna be a lot of like the funny moments of them being a couple, but we're gonna get a lot of action, espionage related stuff. But it was very much the opposite. That they really focused so much on the relationship, which in itself made it an interesting watch because they made the two characters so intriguing and so interesting that you wanted to follow them. You wanted to believe that they could be a real couple. And then you were rooting for them. And then when things were going south, you were worried as to what was going to happen. And before I spoil things, just know that I'm going to be talking freely about this show. And if this is a show that you want to watch yourself and not be spoiled, then I recommend that you kind of bookmark, come back later, or turn it off. This will be the last thing I'm going to be talking about this morning. So you could always come back on Friday and we could always hang out then. But the way this show ended, and again, we don't know if we're getting a season 2, is there's obviously a huge volatile moment blowout between the two. We're at the point where the marriage is no longer working. The relationship is no longer working. So there is a need for separation. The one thing about the company that they work for is that there's no such thing as being able to just call it quits. So now they are being tasked to either kill each other, or what it turns out is that they had another John and Jane coming for them to exterminate them, to wipe them out. And this was a couple that they met previously in several episodes ago when they bumped into them at the farmer's market, the local farmer's market. And I was like, oh my God, it's another John and Jane. It's another Smith. And they were like rapping about the industry, the business, their work. It was really, really funny and fascinating to see all of that. And we were told and we're hinted on the fact that there are multiple Smiths, couples and families hanging out around. So it introduces us to this brilliant universe, interesting universe about a company employing these couples to carry out their deeds, their whatever they want them to do, pretend to be a married couple. And, it's another espionage-like premise that we don't get to see a lot of. Plus, the chemistry between Donald Glover and Maya Erskine was so good. It was very believable. I am not familiar with Maya's work. I know she did that one show. Is it called Pen 15, Pen 12, or something like that? Where she and this other actress, they're supposed to be teenagers in high school, but they're obviously 20-year-olds. So, but that's the whole idea of the show, that they're supposed to not look like teenagers to us, but they are. It's bizarre in its concept. But now it makes me curious to want to watch that, because Maya is charming. She is very unassuming. You look at her and she's like, and you think, I can't see her as someone who could be a spy or someone who's former CIA. But man, she kicks ass. She can go toe to toe with Donald Glover. Right? And I honestly found her to be quite attractive. Maybe it's because of her personality. Maybe it's because she is able to kick ass. Maybe it's all of that stuff combined. Some of you might make fun of me because she's half Japanese. It's a running joke with me and my friends that all I like are Japanese girls, which is not true. That's just happened. It happened that I dated a lot of Japanese girls. That's all. And that's all I'll say about that. So I would say, so would a group of assassins be a form of polygamy? Huh. Interesting that you bring that up, because there are moments where we are told that if your John or Jane is not working out, you can easily switch up. We'll give you another John, or we'll give you another Jane. So, yeah, I would say that could be a very accurate assessment. But the chemistry between Donald and Maya was brilliantly done. Like, Donald Glover we already know he's a multi-talent, singer, writer, comic, actor, and he does really well in this show. It's nice seeing him do something like this. My only criticism is that, he does have this shtick where he tries to be very suave in the way he talks. He's basically like Lando. And this comes up quite a bit in the show, and I did find it kind of distracting. What I do like is that they actually joke about it. She mentions it like towards the end, as there was this crazy, insane moment where, we got the full-on battle between the two. They're in their apartment and they're shooting at each other. They're throwing stuff at each other. They're hitting each other. And what Donald decides to do is grab truth serum, inject it into each of them so that they could have an all-out serious conversation about their true feelings. And one of the things she brought up was that I hate it when you lower your voice just to try to be cool. I don't know if that was ad lib, but that was brilliant. That was brilliant. PQ, Raz P. Berry. So I'll buy that for $1.
I'm gonna come.
Wow.
So, and one thing that also surprised me about this show was that I was not expecting to see all of these cameos from all of these guest stars. In episode 1 alone, we saw Alexander Skarsgård and Isa Gonzalez. And you kind of wonder, like, well, who's this couple? You think they're running from the law. There's there's a shootout and a standoff, and they eventually get murked, right? But then I realized as the show continued, oh my God, they were another Smith couple. And they were taken out by another Smith couple. And I was like, okay, this is the kind of world that we're in right now. But it's interesting because you had such a top name, two well-known people in the first episode, and they get killed immediately. In episode 2, all of a sudden, I just see Paul Dano show up. Hi, I'm your neighbor. Do you have a cat? Because someone constantly is messing up my garden and taking shits, and my dog keeps eating the shit. And he becomes like a reoccurring character as just the neighbor, Paul Dano, who is a real estate agent, and he's jealous because the brownstone that they live in had all of these renovations done that is unheard of, that cost millions and millions and millions of dollars. And his dream, what he calls it, his Moby Dick, is that he wants to get that on the market and he wants to be the one representing it, which is so funny because they find Donald goes into his house once and finds like all of the surveillance footage, blueprints and everything. So he automatically thinks that he's an agency. He's working for an agency. And he has a gun to his face and he's like, who do you work for? Who do you work for? And he's like, I work for Sotheby's. Like, you don't understand. Sotheby's is a real estate agency. And he goes off into this whole thing about just wanting the opportunity to sell that apartment. John Turturro shows up in this show. Sarah Paulson is a psychiatrist because they go to couples counseling. Ron Perlman was one of their missions. I mean, there's so many cameos in this series that was so unexpected that I totally appreciated. I was like, wow, that's so much fun to see and so much fun to watch. You know, every episode was roughly like 50 minutes. So it's definitely like good long watches, long episodes. And the one thing that they do smart too is that you don't know how much time has been passing from episode to episode. And you kind of have the sense like, oh, maybe each episode we're going to like multiple months later, because their relationship is progressing. Yeah, and it basically shows the progression of, you know, a new couple who met for the first time, forming this relationship, getting intimate, then becoming serious, then really being seriously together to the point where they're talking about children and all that stuff. And then there's the part where sometimes things veer off. I need my own space. There are certain things I can't talk to you about anymore. I feel constricted. You know, and there's the challenges of all that. There's jealousy involved. So you see basically the uprise and the downfall of a relationship with the action, espionage, all that stuff just basically as part of the background. But don't get me wrong, you get moments of full-on action sequences. Like there are some moments that were just really smartly done. Like there was this one part that takes place on a ski resort, which I thought was all they had to do was observe and survey. They were supposed to tap this couple's phone, and it turns out that that the wife has a lot of money, and she was kidnapped for ransom. In a funny take, they call the husband. And they're like, we have your wife. If you want her back, we need 51% stake ownership in the company, blah, 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 blah. He basically says, no. This was the one episode that felt like a Barry episode to me. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, well, say goodbye to your wife. All right, bye. And then Donald, they're listening in on this. And like, I got to save her. She's a mom. And all that, I have to save her. And there's a sequence where you see the point of view within the van that she's captured in. And you see Donald Glover coming up from the back, and they make eye contact. He's like, and then he just goes off and killing all the people around him. You don't really see a lot of it, but you just see gunshot, blood splatter, all those things. The cinematography and editing behind all of this was so well done. It was so good. And if you've watched Barry, you've seen things like this before. I was like, wow, this is so good. I love it. Star-Lord said, $1, take it. I'm going to check it out. Thumbs up. I need to recharge now. Okay, man. As always, thank you so much for joining and tuning in. Always appreciate it. Appreciate you hanging out. Hopefully I get to see you on Friday. But go ahead, charge up your phone. Do what you got to do. That is Star-Lord, everybody. But yeah, there's a lot of those moments, the action sequences, the big blowout at the end, that are really fun and entertaining to watch. If there is one criticism that I do have for the show, is that there are moments between the couple, Donald and Maya, especially during the more serious moments. This is when we are going now towards the latter half of the season, where they're actually having the problems. And they're definitely having the conflicts. And I do feel like those moments drag a little bit too much, where they kind of stay in those moments way too long. The moments in therapy, I feel like those things kind of drag a little bit too much. I understand why they did it. Again, they're trying to portray a real couple going through these things and trying to sort things out. I totally understand why they do that. But for me personally, I just thought those moments dragged a little bit. I kind of wanted it to be like let's pick up the pace here. Let's get to the overall thing that's happening. But yeah, it was a lot. It was very enjoyable to watch. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I'm glad I saw it. The acting, the writing, the directing, the cinematography, the editing, the story was fascinating. Now, again, I'm already in spoiler territory, so if you want to see it or not, tough shit. I'm about to say it. Oh, and I forgot to mention too, Parker Posey is in this too. I love seeing Parker Posey and kind of like her renaissance, seeing her really come back to the screen, whether it be small or big screen. I was praising her for her performance in Beau is Afraid last year. And now to see her in this show as the Jane, as part of that Jane and John couple that is now set to terminate Donald Glover and Maya. She's so good. She's just so good. But basically what happens at the end is in the middle of Donald and Maya going at it and then having their truth serum, serious moments, serious talk, comes to find out that they were not initially going after each other, because there's a moment in that episode where Maya's just in the kitchen and gunshots start raining in from the window. This was already after the fact that they blew. So what led to all of this too is that the company that they worked for, you have to accomplish the missions that you're put out there. If you fail a mission, you get 3 fails and then you're done. So what happened is that they blew their last third failure. This was already when they're kind of like arguing and they're not in good terms. And they decide to take on missions on their own. So Donald was taking a mission where he was supposed to take out a lady. Maya thought that he was cheating on her with this new person. And, craziness ensues. And it turns out that he was working a job. She didn't know. The person, the target escaped. And they fucked up. And that was their third and final failure. Once that happened, the next day, that's when Maya gets the message, terminate Elder Smith. So she, in her mind, is thinking, uh-oh, Donald probably got the same message. So yeah, so she was getting shot at in the kitchen, and her poor cat Max got shot, and that drove her into this rage. So the whole episode it's like a cloak and dagger thing between her and Donald's character. She's calling him a monster. I can't believe you would do that. He has no idea what she's talking about, but he's under the impression that she's trying to kill him because he's hanging out with his mom, who he's very close to, who he bought an apartment in the city. And as they were about to walk in, he notices there's something up with the apartment. Come to find out, there was a tripwire set up at the door with a C4 explosive waiting to take him out as soon as he walked in. So he's under the impression, okay, she's trying to kill me. She's thinking he's trying to kill me, and that's what started this whole thing. But it turns out, as they were having their truthful one-on-one moment, that they weren't doing that to each other at all. That's when Parker Posey, the other John and Jane, walk into the door, the couple that they had dinner with before, that they knew was another Smith couple. They were there, and they come to the realization that they were going to take him out. So now they bond together to kind of fight their way out of it. And basically the episode ends with them escaping into their escape room. Donald has been shot, bleeding severely. He needs attention. She's there. They realize that they really, truly love each other. Parker Posey is waiting outside the door, waiting for them to come out. The husband got shot in the face, so he's out of the picture. And basically what happens, it's kind of like a Young Guns moment. It's like, I'm going to bust through this door. I'm going to shoot her. I have one bullet left, and we're going to make it out here. And boom, cut to a window outside. You see gunshots through the window, the flashes, bam, bam, bam. But that's it. Fade to black, semi-credits. Then we get a nice, funny moment with Paul Dano walking into the apartment saying, hey guys, I brought the book I told you I'll lend you. He sees everything is array. Bullet holes written all over the walls. Things are messed up. He's like, all right, I'm going to leave it here. Bye. And he gets excited. He calls his partner. He's like, I think they're going to be ready to sell soon. Woohoo! And fade to black, and that's it. So we don't know the fate of John and Jane, Donald and Maya. So it ends on a cliffhanger. Now, according to reports, they are working, or they have ideas for a second season. And I would be very welcoming for that. I think it'll be fun to see this couple continue and see where they go from here. But if we don't get it, what a brilliant end to a greatly manufactured season. Because again, if you look at it in the perspective of a married couple, you just saw the formation and downfall of a married couple. That it can be relatable to so many different people. And I love that that's where they put the focus on, really. The whole espionage stuff, all that is backdrop. There are episodes where we have it fully dedicated. Again, just to remind us, hey, these guys are killers. They're hired men and women. But there's also a world there. There's an interesting universe. We are never hinted on who the corporation is. We don't know if they're government. We don't know if they're private. Doesn't really matter. It's still fascinating. The intrigue, the mystery, it's all intriguing. But it was a lot of fun. So much fun to watch. And it was nice to see Donald Glover in this type of role. It was a refreshing thing to see someone like Maya in this role. Because again, she's so unassuming. And that's part of her charm. And I found her to be enjoyable to watch. Now I kind of want to see what else she does or what she's done in the past. Because I was not exposed to her before. But I really wanted... And it was just great to see a lot of these interesting cameos show up. You know, Skarsgård being part of the other Smith couple in the beginning with Isa. You know, Paul Dano as the funny neighbor, nosy neighbor. John Turturro as this over-eccentric billionaire, which was a mission that they had that they botched. That was their first failure, which was really, really funny. Sarah Paulson as their therapist, as the couple therapist. She also had a funny moment too, where in one of the last sessions that they had, which was very volatile and very like challenging. As he leaves, you see her in her office taking off her shoes. She's like, Jesus. And like she takes out her vape and she's like vaping away. Basically just like trying to recuperate from that hell of a mess. And then Ron Perlman being like the very old guy that's done a lot of bad stuff, and now his up and comings is happening, but they're there to kind of save him. So he's dealing with his old age and kind of like the stuff that he did in his career and in his life. But it was also interesting to see the dynamic between Maya and Donald taking care of this guy. Almost as if like this was their child. Because they had to like care for him, watch out for him. He's sick, so they had to like look over him. So it was very, very interesting dynamics and chemistry all around. But it was so much fun to watch. And of course, Parker Posey. It was so good to see Parker Posey in that type of role. So yeah, so that is Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Amazon Prime. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend you check it out. If you love those, if anything I said here sounded appealing to you, this is worth a watch for sure. Highly recommend it. And if it continues on from here, that would be great. And if it doesn't, I still think it's a very well done self-contained season there. So that's my review. Congratulations on my binge of the week. All right. Make sure to tune in next Wednesday when I talk about what my other binge of the week will be. Details to come. Check it out. But yeah, it's already 12:06 p.m. on this Wednesday. It's hump day. We've made it halfway through the week. You all made it through the week. Only a couple more days to go before the weekend. But I think now is the perfect time to kind of call it for the morning. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you're watching live, Star-Lord, PQ, as always, appreciate the support. Or you're watching on the replay, thank you so much for checking us out here. Make sure to hit that like button. Show your love and appreciation. Make sure you leave a comment. Make fun of what I'm wearing. Make fun of a hot take that I may have had. Let me know what topics from today's stream stood out to you the most. Let's have a conversation about it. Let me know if Mr. and Mrs. Smith is a show you've already watched or if you're planning to watch it. Let me know all of that stuff. Subscribe if you want to stay up to date on everything that we do here on the channel. Great way to show your support as well. Make sure you check out the Movie Time podcast on your podcast platform of choice. Me and my buddy Blake, we talk about movies there, so make sure to check us out there. And if you want to further support the channel, memberships are open. We have one tier for now, and that's just $1 a month. For $1 a month, you could help support this channel. Or check out the affiliates that we have listed in the description of this video. Anything that you do through there, we get a little kickback, and all those proceeds will go to supporting this channel and maintaining it and all of that good stuff. So, all that out of the way, I've been Renee. This has been the morning time. This has been the morning time, but this has been the morning after stream. Catch you on Friday. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Peace out, everybody. Bye-bye.